Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to act as chairperson for TECNALIA's RTO challenge this afternoon. We'll have a division in our session. The first part will be a little bit letting you know what TECNALIA is, how it works, how an RTO works, along all of the parallel sessions today and all of the speeches that we've attended. We've seen that most of the focus has been on corporate or companies or industry with startups or universities and startups or universities and companies. So we want to explain exactly what TECNALIA is, what our research and technology organization is to set the context. That's my role, first of all. So my name is Yolanda de Miguel. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before we start with TECNALIA. Well, the agenda, as you see, is quite packed, so we'll try and keep to the time allocated. I'll give a general introduction to TECNALIA and open innovation at TECNALIA. Then my colleague, Sergio Bandinelli, he will be talking about open innovation to leverage transformational innovation. He's part of TECNALIA Group, and he will tell you all about Octantis, which is part of this TECNALIA Group. Then my colleague, Edorta Larrauri, will be talking about integrating open innovation strategies in contract research-based partnerships. And then finally, Xavier Olano, my colleague from Lab Services at TECNALIA, will be talking about a specific example of an open innovation testbed called Meseroe, where they're accelerating sustainable innovations in the context of this OITB. And then we'll stop and we'll ask you to group around the tables and we'll do a slight workshop which will be moderated by my colleague Xavier Uriarte. And here we will ask you to work on how to generate impact through open innovation in the case of an RTO. But he'll explain this in detail later on. So I'll just go to my initial presentation. Just to let you know a little bit about myself, I have a very academic background. I did my PhD at Imperial College in London in chemistry. I then moved to the University of Cambridge, where I had a very prestigious Royal Society Dorothy Hodgkin Fellowship, and started out my research career with my own research group, then moved to King's College London. And so I was an academic working in chemistry, and in particular in solid phase chemistry. And then suddenly I jumped. I like changes, I like challenges. This is called a challenge, so I do love challenges. I moved from academia to technology in 2003. I moved from the UK to Spain and came to TECNALIA, and I'll tell you a little bit more about TECNALIA in a moment. Initially, I was a researcher in nanotechnology, and as of 2014, I became director of nanotechnology. Then I was some time in the commercial team as well. And then as of very recently, 1st of January 2025, I've become a member of the technology corporate team, and I'm leading an open innovation transformation within TECNALIA's strategic plan. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about TECNALIA as I promised. So TECNALIA, in case you don't know, is like Fraunhofer in Germany or Catapult Centers in the UK. In the case of Spain, it's the largest applied research and technology development center in Spain. We are a European benchmark, and I'll give you some figures on that later on. And we're a member of what is called the Basque Research and Technology Alliance. Many of you are coming from all over the world, so you may not know, but we are extremely lucky here in the Basque region. We have an enviable innovation ecosystem. And I'll tell you a little bit about the different organizations that take part in this ecosystem. Okay, TECNALIA is mainly in the Basque region in the north of Spain, but we also have branches in Spain, Madrid, Zaragoza, and also abroad, China, Colombia, France, Italy, Serbia, and so on. Okay, so this is the Basque innovation ecosystem. So TECNALIA does some basic research, very little. Then we also work on mainly scaling up, doing applied research and technological development. And because we work very closely with the companies. So if we look at all of the different stakeholders in our ecosystem, we have the university, which is one of our strategic partners. I'm in charge of the strategic partnerships with the University of the Basque Country. We have some very fundamental research centers in things like materials or applied artificial intelligence and so on. And then we have cooperative research centers as well. Oh, sorry, jumped. okay, such as nanotechnology center, TECNALIA, and so on. So you can see here, this is in terms of proximity to the market. So here we're going towards the higher TRL. So you can see TECNALIA is developing some basic research, mainly applied research, and mainly technological development. I'll give you some more information about that in a moment. But we are not a technology transfer office. We're in fact, our mission is to transfer technological research into prosperity. Our vision is to help companies in this rapidly changing world to be able to adapt quickly to all these new technologies, to all these changes. And our purpose is actually one of the things that I love most about TECNALIA is to build a better world, okay, through technological research and innovation. So what is our claim? Our claim, as I said, is to transforming knowledge into profit for companies and value for society. Our claim actually can be summarized in this just one slide: creating growth, economic growth, and improving society. Okay, I'll give you some figures quickly about TECNALIA. We're around 1,500 staff, about 50-50 roughly, women and men, from many different nationalities. It's a very international staff from 28 different nationalities. In terms of our activities and our funding, around 50% is coming from private funding. I'll talk about this a little bit in a moment. Of this almost 150 million euros, about 50% is coming from private sources, around 30% is coming from competitive public funding, and I'll break that down for you now. But then there's a small part, 17% approximately, which is coming from non-competitive funding, which is given by the Basque government as a result of fulfilling certain key performance indicators. We talked about that in an earlier session today. I think Dieu was the person who was speaking about this topic, and we can maybe talk about that later. So breaking down the public funding, around 21% is coming from European funding, around 26% Basque government, and the rest is other administrations. So as I said, we are referenced in European RTOs. We're the first private organization in Spain in terms of project contracting, participation and leadership in European projects. And as of very recently, our Director General, Managing Director, Jesus Valera, is now the President of the European Association of Research and Technology Organizations in Europe. As you can see, there are more than 350. And it's quite an honor for us now that we have our director as the president now of this association. Okay, how we work is slightly different to a university. We work in three different vectors. One of them is laboratory services, and my colleague here, Sabio Lano, who will be talking about Meseroe Open Innovation Testbed, belongs to this part of TECNALIA. This is services that we give to the companies. They need to measure something, they need to certify a product or whatever. And then we have our largest part, probably, which is the R&D and innovation projects, and my colleague Eduarda will talk about that, especially in the case of projects that we do for companies. And then finally, also, we develop our own IPR, sometimes on our own, sometimes with our partners. So we do open innovation, we develop our own IPR, or jointly, co-patenting, co-exploiting that patent, either by licensing or by startups and so on. So this is the three main ways that we work. And in our technology strategy, obviously one of the most important things that we value at TECNALIA are people. People are behind the technology. And so we believe in the value of people, and we try to attract the best talent. And we organize our technology in two different ways. One are the more transversal, horizontal technologies that can have impact on different sectors, industrial sectors, such as quantum technologies, artificial intelligence, or nanotechnology in my case. But then we also have vertical technologies which impact on a single market, such as biotechnologies and so on. Okay, so all of these are characterized by being important to us. They have technological relevance. We also have excellence internally. There is a market demand for this, and there is obviously a critical mass sufficiently so that we can have an impact on the market and we can help our clients. In this current strategic plan, we have identified these strategic focus areas, which we call excellence-based strategic focus areas that I'll show you now. And why have we chosen these ones? They are robotics or flexible automation, carbon capture, utilization and storage, cybersecurity, smart grids, fire safety. Sabi Olano is actually the responsible person for this particular focus area. Hydrogen, human-machine interaction, urban air mobility, materials and processes for anything to do with big science, aerospace and defense. In health, we have two, smart medical devices, and then technologies for developing and manufacturing medicinal products, and then we have smart construction and smart monitoring or sensors. Okay, why am I telling you about these ones in particular? These are very important from the point of view of open innovation and the current strategic plan. So if there is one slide that I want you to take home, maybe it's this one here. Why? Because in this particular part of open innovation, and we have been doing open innovation since we became TECNALIA. We became TECNALIA in 2011 by putting together 8 different technology centers all from the Basque Country. And when we did this, we started doing open innovation in different ways. And one of the things that came out in this journey from 2011 until today is the strategic partnership with the Basque University, which is the most important in terms of size and variety of activities and so on, and impact. But then later on, we also moved to co-developing IPR, co-patenting, and generating startups with our partners and so on. And in this particular strategic plan, so since 2011 until now, until 2025, we have done many things, and some of them you will hear about today. But now we are trying to focus our strategic partnerships on what we call these excellence-based strategic focus areas that I just showed you. And why do we want to work with our partners in these particular areas? We have decided on these particular areas, if I go back for a moment, because we find that these are important in terms of the needs that companies have today. And we think that this will have a big impact, not only in economic growth, but also an impact on society. So we want to address these areas, not on our own, because we know that if we collaborate, if we co-develop, with our strategic partners, we will get there faster. We will have a bigger impact. So this is why we want to share risks and benefits, and we want to achieve this greater impact in the market, greater impact on improving society. And each of these strategic partners, from our point of view, must allow us to meet at least one or more of our strategic objectives. Obviously, the impact part is very important, generate impact, and to have critical mass. And finally, for this, we have in mind, and this is part of the work that we'll ask you to do later on with us, we have in mind different types of open innovation, different types of strategic alliances, different purposes, and so on. And so I won't entertain you very much more with the theory of all of this. What we want to do now, my colleagues, is show you some specific examples of how TECNALIA has been doing this, and hopefully we can co-create later on with you the future of TECNALIA's strategy for generating impact through open innovation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sergio Bandinelli. I'm working for a company that is affiliated to TECNALIA. It's called Octantis. And this is an initiative that we launched last year, actually, so it's very new. It's something that we've been doing for years already, since probably TECNALIA was created. But since last year, we are putting a lot of emphasis in Octantis and in developing the potential of this new initiative. This is actually a new company, okay? So I'm the managing director of this company, and I'm going to tell you about how we are using open innovation to leverage a transformational innovation with companies, okay? Good. This is me. Not that one. That one is Messi, okay? This is me. And Well, probably those that speak Spanish, they know anda pa allá, bobo. That's I'm Argentinian, okay, so I'm sorry. It's, I have to say it. And this is a famous phrase by Messi. And this pointing, actually, in that restaurant, they're using the image of Messi to point to the toilets, okay? But let's say the main reason of Octantis to exist is giving advice of where to go, okay? To companies, what's the roadmap, what's the next step, okay? In innovation, okay? So I'm trying and not always succeeding in selling innovation to companies, and this is hard. And I will tell you about my problems in selling innovation to companies. And when I used to be a student, I studied software engineering. I did the PhD in the Polytechnic of Milano in Italy. And at that time, I thought that if you have a very good idea, if you have a very good service, a very good product, all the people would come knocking at your door and wanting to buy this new innovative product. This is not true at all. I mean, this does not happen. I don't know if it happens somewhere else. Here, it doesn't happen, okay? So we need to not only develop good products, develop innovative products, but we need also to make sure that this finds the way into the market. We're talking about transformational innovation, and this is a picture to illustrate that kind of transformation. It's the two pictures of New York City in 1900 and 13 years later, okay? The difference between the two is that here you see only horses with carriages, okay? And there is one car, one not electric car, it's a gasoline car. And in the same photograph, 13 years after that, you see all cars, and one exception. There is here one horse, one carriage carried by horses, okay? So this is transformational innovation, okay? And this kind of disruptive innovation happens very quickly, okay? The issue is that now these kind of disruptions are happening not in 13 years, are happening 1 year after the other one, and it's not, they are not happening right in one single technology. They are happening in several technologies, in several areas, creating disruptions in the market all the time, okay, and making the offering of some of the companies obsolete in very short time, okay? So the companies need to reinvent themselves. They need to create new offering, okay? And this is part of what we are trying to do. So this disruption, as I said, is happening all the time. And you probably know about this graphic about the horizons of innovation. We talk about it all the time. We've been discussing about this with Dorta, a colleague here, several times. And well, it looks like a progress, okay? So the closer you are to the core business of the company, the more forward-thinking innovation that you are looking at. The issue here is that they are very, very different conceptually from the company point of view. If you are talking about incremental innovation, it's about making what you are doing right now, but making it better, making it in a more optimized way, increasing competitiveness of your current businesses. This is something where the inspiration comes from the current business needs, okay? So you talk with the people that are in the businesses and they say, well, I need this innovation, I need this other innovation, this incremental innovation to make things better. And in general, they know what they are talking about, okay? They are very knowledgeable about their businesses because they are all the time in that business. So the customer is generally business unit, and the technology is an enabler of this change, okay? and you talk with the different business units. In general, if there is a corporate innovation unit in the company, then the customers of this innovation unit are the same, the business unit themselves. What happens in transformational innovation? This is not the business of the business units. The business units sometimes are not interested in having transformational innovation that may challenge their current business, okay? So this is against the current businesses. This has to be taken from another perspective. In the company, from a corporate perspective, okay? This is about the new offerings in the future, okay? And this is about diversification, creating new businesses, new markets, a new offer, okay? And here the inspiration comes from the disruption from other places, okay? So the inspiration here, the inspiration is the business needs, but here the inspiration comes from different places of the company. So this means open innovation, okay? So if we do open innovation, of course, I would say we need to do in any case, okay? I don't think anybody does close innovation except for very secret projects and so. But if you are talking about innovation, in general, you do open innovation. But the value of open innovation here is key, okay? Because you need this inspiration, this disruption coming from other sources beyond the company. The companies, they struggle in doing this transformational innovation. They don't know how to do it. They don't know about it. They don't know about new technologies. So they need someone from outside to bring these new ideas into the company. So where do companies struggle? Actually, they are very good at executing and optimizing their current businesses. They are very bad at addressing other businesses, okay? And here is where open innovation comes into play. Why they have problems? The pressure of the short term, the organizational structure, because unless there is one specific unit for creating new businesses, and this may happen in some large corporations, most of the companies, SMEs, and even medium-sized companies, and even large companies, they don't have this unit for thinking about the new businesses. So if you want to do transformational innovation, there is nobody to talk to, okay? The talent, entrepreneurial talent, is not recognized in promotions, okay? If you sell a lot, then you are promoted. If you invent something different, you are not promoted, okay? And of course, this is addressing a lot more risk, and this is for sure something that companies tend to avoid. So what do we do, or what is the landscape that we see in Octantis? Well, we see that technology is being more and more a driver for business change, okay, for the business strategy. Some time ago, you have business strategy and then technology as an implementation for that business strategy. Now, the strategy and the technology, they go hand in hand, they go together. You need to think about the strategy and talking about the technology at the same time. Innovation goes a lot beyond R&D, and is a growth leverage with startups bridging the gap between what we call organic growth, okay? I mean, innovation in this sense is looking at organic growth. It's something that needs to be to increase the company's sales and so on, okay? And on the other side, you have inorganic growth through M&A, okay, through mergers and acquisitions. In the middle, you have a lot of grace of collaboration between the company and startups, entrepreneurial ecosystem, and so on. And of course, there is a more emphasis and more consciousness about an ecosystem mindset. Companies, they know more and more, they are more conscious that they cannot compete alone. They compete together with our ecosystem. They are not just alone, so they need not only to develop themselves, but to develop together with the ecosystem. So this is, I would say, if I have to summarize my presentation in one sentence, is this one: open innovation is key for transformational innovation for the reasons I was telling you about. And this is what we do in Octantis, okay? Octantis is an instrument to guide sailors and navigators in unknown seas or seas full of risks, okay? And this is what we do when they travel in places that they don't know about. I'm going to tell you very quickly about 3 different initiatives that we have in Octantis and in TECNALIA that are using open innovation. One, as I was telling you, has to do with corporate entrepreneurship, okay? So this is applying what I was saying to the corporation in terms of selling new entrepreneurial projects, okay? Deep Tech for Impact is an initiative that we have in TECNALIA also, and EU-LAC Digital Accelerator is a program with support from the European Commission. I'm going to tell you about 3 different ways of doing open innovation, one with corporates, one with startups, and one linking corporates and startups. So, if you ask the companies if they see value in collaborating with the entrepreneurial ecosystem to address market disruptions, challenges, and so on, everybody will say yes, okay, a big yes. But then after the yes comes the reality, okay? And the reality is that they say yes, but they don't have the instruments, they don't have the talent, they don't have the mechanisms, the vehicles to perform this, okay? So after the yes comes the alignment with the strategy, the source of deal flow, the management of the innovation portfolio, the criteria for selecting and discarding projects, the metrics, the resources, and so on. So here is where we see that there is still a lot of room for improvement, mainly from the corporate side, okay? There are some corporations, some big corporations, that they already have some dedicated teams for doing this kind of activity, okay? And more companies are setting up programs to attract startups and so on. But most of the companies are far away from this, and there is no possibility, or it's very difficult to work with startups, with entrepreneurial ecosystem in an open innovation way. So here there is, as I said, an opportunity for maturing companies, for maturing the way of working of companies from the entrepreneurial point of view. The other initiative I wanted to briefly talk about is about startups, okay? And this is called Deep Tech for Impact. And here is, let's say, assuming TECNALIA as a corporation, okay? TECNALIA has, if not other things, what we do have is very good infrastructures, technological infrastructures, laboratories. I mean, Xavier knows very well about this, that are quite unique. They are quite sophisticated. They are difficult to access. And we have this infrastructure together with a lot of experience, of expertise from very good technologies in different areas, in different technologies, okay? On the other side, we have a lot of startups, in particular deep tech startups, startups that are looking for value propositions where technology is a key part of this value proposition, and the technology is bringing a differential value in the market, okay? It's bringing competitive advantage in the market. These companies, well, they do these startups, they do their investment pitches and so on. They may get the money, and the money may be more or less difficult to get. But once they have the money, they need the capacities, they need the technological capabilities to develop that technological offering, okay? And here is where TECNALIA comes into play, okay? What we do is to link with startups that have in their roadmap needs and technological requirements that may be eventually deployed by TECNALIA, and we do an investment in those companies. Yeah? It's an in-kind investment, but we work together with them, and it's a lot of, I would say, it's a big push to these startups to advance in their technological development. So here is what we do is connecting startups, deep tech startups with technological needs with the technological capabilities of TECNALIA, okay? We do technology that provides a competitive edge for the companies. We do an investment, and we share with them the roadmap to the market. Last thing, and I'm done. EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. Well, this is a program by the European Commission, okay? And here, the objective is to create partnerships between European companies and Latin American and Caribbean companies, okay? And so that's the EU-LAC Digital Accelerator. This is, if you want, it has a geopolitical components. You know, Europe is finding its way in the geopolitical, in the changing geopolitical arena. So one thing that the European Commission is looking at is developing more links with Latin America, and this is one of the things that is being done. This is a 5-year program. We are already in the 3rd year. We have 2 more years to go, and this is about connecting 2 things we do. We generate partnerships between startups and corporates from Latin America and Europe. It could be a corporate from Europe, startups from Latin America, vice versa. Corporate from Latin America, startups from Europe. The issue here is that the partnership crosses the Atlantic, okay, in some way. So we do this matching. We start from the challenges, okay, because what we see there is that companies, they do have challenges expressed in a more or less defined way, okay? These challenges for digital transformation, they may be solved by companies, startups, even, let's say, technological SMEs from the other side, okay, from the other region. We do the matching, and then we grow the partnership. And we grow the partnership by offering them a series of services like this one. We do a roadmap of the partnership. Then we offer them, depending on the partnership, proof of concept services, business case services, and investment and scaling services, okay? Through these services are for the partnership, and we also have, it's not written there, specific money for developing the proof of concept, okay? So it goes some money for the startup to dedicate some time to de-risk, let's say, the partnership by doing some demonstration, some adaptation of their technology to show that effectively it solves the problem, it solves the challenge that the corporation is bringing, okay? And with this, I'm done. So very briefly, transformational innovation is where we see the main area where open innovation should be working, and we have 3 examples of what we're doing in this area in the context of TECNALIA and Octantis. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. I forgot to mention, we'll keep the questions at the end, so keep everybody in the room, hopefully. And another thing is we'll work around the tables, and one person from TECNALIA will be on each of the tables, so you can get to discuss face-to-face with each one of us. Okay, so now, Edorta.
Thank you. Okay, hello. It's my pleasure to be here with you. And I'm pleased to share with you perhaps a contradictory topic that is talking about contract research and open innovation in the same sentence. But I will try to clarify this. I will go past all this. Yolanda already talked about this, so I will came to this. Yolanda was mentioning this income and was telling us that half of the budget is coming from contracts, that is BIT included, and half of the budget is coming from public funding. But what we do with public funding is our internal research, our bets for developing new things so that we have new things to sell to the companies in the future. This is our model. We learn permanently to transfer permanently to the companies. Okay, once this is explained, I will go just to the relationship scale in terms of depending on how innovative is the client, the approach that TECNALIA is able to make to this client is different. We have some clients that are real SMEs. Perhaps they do not have the people, they do not have the structure for talking about innovation. They do some lab testing, some analysis, because they need to validate the product, but they are not, let's say, allowed to think in innovation. What we can do on this is we have a program called Orain that is now in Basque. Orain is the time for innovation. Now is the time for innovation. And what we can do in a real small company is to put one person in the company that acts as the role of director for innovation. We put the people from TECNALIA and say, you are attending the board, or you are visiting the company once or twice a month, and your role is acting as the innovation director for the company. This is a small approach, starting to do projects. This is the big relation framework with companies, with innovative SMEs and with big companies. We do the three products that TECNALIA, that Yolanda was mentioning before: lab testing, research, contract research, and business opportunities on the basis of startups or IP generated by TECNALIA. But when the company is really big, or the SME is really innovative, so have a clear strategy on innovation, and when this company sees TECNALIA as the adequate partner for launching a long-term relationship on a specific topic, we are able to elevate the relation. And this is where we are going from doing contract research to sign the basis for an open innovation ecosystem between the company and TECNALIA. I would say we start talking about a strategy, and we do not talk anymore about just projects. We talk about current business and future business. We talk about people, and we talk about new things. And we do it together. So we are moving the scope of the relationship from just a contract for doing a specific project, a contract research project, to a community where we work together, where we think together in the future, when we define together the technology, where we construct together strategic research agenda, and we are able to deploy things in the short term that normally should be paid by the company because are low risk. Some topics in the mid-term in this strategic agenda that we can share some part of the risk, and we do together, the company and TECNALIA, and some parts of this strategy that are really far from the market and that the company is clearly reluctant to put the money there. So TECNALIA is able to assume part of the risk. How does this work? Okay, we signed a contract agreement, and we deploy different types of projects. There is a mistake in this slide, sorry. This is client ownership and no commercial use rights for TECNALIA. The last sentence is right, okay? But these are the low risk projects, the company pay and the company has the rights. This is medium risk projects. We go together as partners, perhaps to a European project or to a European call or to a local call, but together in a consortium. And the company is owner of the development and TECNALIA is owner of the ones that we develop. But there are also some topics, high risk, where we say, okay, we can launch a PhD together with the university for exploring this early technology and see if this will be applicable to your company in the future. So we are not able to say the company, put some money here because it's high risk. That's why we articulate this formula that we sign a long-term contract with a company, 4 years, high value, and we match up to 20% of the money that the company is putting in the contract, TECNALIA is putting in internal research. And we work in this kind of open innovation ecosystem. It's a very creative formula, and the companies are very happy with this. We also can apply this to the launching of a startup, where both the client and TECNALIA assume different roles, and we are facing different steps and assuming high risk or low risk, depending on the stage we are. The closer we are getting to the market, the higher the money is demanded from the client. And okay, this is the last one, so I'm finished.
Okay, thank you very much, Adorta. As I said, we'll keep all of the questions to the last part. And now I'd like to introduce Javier Olano, who's going to talk about the Open Innovation Testbed example.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm the last speaker, so probably I have a very short time to speak to you. So I will try to go as quick as possible. So my name is Javier Olano, and as Yolanda said, I'm the responsible for the strategic focus of fire safety. So basically, I am a fire researcher, and my daily basis is to partner staff and see what is the behavior of the materials and solutions. So today, I'm going to talk about this European project called MISIROE, that it's an OITB project, and in this particular context, or European project context, the OITB, it's an open innovation testbed. What is the Open Innovation Testbed? It's let's say a network or a union of different entities giving access to facilities, services, and expertise in order to pass from, let's say, your material or your solution from the laboratory scale to industrial scale. So in terms of technology readiness level, we are talking about going from TRL 4 to TRL 7. And in this particular project, MISIROE is focused on the building envelope. So we are talking about construction sector that you may know that is not very innovative, is not very, it's quite reluctant to change. So it's in fact a challenge to work in the construction sector in doing innovative things. So first thing I would like to highlight is that we are a lot of partners, 25 partners from all around Europe, and also with very different background or roles. We have research partners that are doing like the research and trying to provide solutions to the industrial partners. Then we have the industrial partners itself, that they are the ones that they are going to exploit the solutions or the technologies. Then we have what we call business partners, that they are offering similar things at, for example, to Octantis, related to the business. And then we have measurement or validation partners that are trying to develop like different monitoring or sensoring packages. And finally, we are also working with external participants like building owners, because we want to also test our solutions in a real environment. So, which are the principles of our project? We are talking about nearly zero energy buildings and solutions for that. And the idea is to transfer knowledge, matching the testing needs with facilities, provide monitoring, and also standardizing solutions. Basically, as you see in the picture, we want to build a bridge between the ideas and the market. Okay, so what we are finally offering in this mid-zero or in this OITB? We will have like 9 different pilot measurement and verification lines that basically are like specific testing lines for innovative products. Because usually it's a problem, I don't know, in other sectors, but in construction, usually the regulations and the standards go far behind from the technology. So you are developing technology, and by the time the standard for your technology is developed, maybe it's 10 years later. So that's what we are trying to do. Offer you a solution for testing your materials or technologies in this environment. Also, we are offering 3 different open innovation services related to business, to road mapping your R&D and so on. And finally, also we are offering living labs, so the possibility to access to different buildings, to put your system in a real environment, and also to monitor it. And finally, additional resources like training that I will explain later. And the idea again is to get to the market as fast as possible. So also one of the keys of our OITB is this virtual platform where we are going to sell all these services and all this innovation. Because we have the OITB will be the network, but also we talk about the SCP concept, that is a single entry point. That is like a one-stop shop when you can, if you are a building envelope manufacturer and you want to innovate, you can go to this single entry point, and all these services will be offered. And you see in this QR code, you can access to the platform if you are curious about that. So where we are now, we started this project in January 2021, and we will finish it next year in June. So as you see, we work in 2 phases. The first one is the creation of the OITB itself, and the second one is the creation and internal validation, and the second phase is the external validation. So now we are in the external validation of the OITB. So here I put some pictures, and I want to explain very quickly to see that we are going from laboratory to the real environment. So in the left, we will see the first picture. It's one colleague that is doing some kind of optical testing. Because, for example, in our case, TECNALIA, in this particular project, will be focused in innovative building integrated photovoltaics and hybrid thermal and photovoltaic solutions. So for photovoltaics, it's key to have a very good optical properties. So what we are developing is a new equipment or new technology to assess optical properties in different inclinations, because it's very relevant for energy creation. Also, we have in the middle, they have this hood, this ventilator that is meant to do fire testing together with wind loading, because we know that wind can affect fire performance. So this is some kind of test that we have developed in this context. And also, you see this experimental building named Cubic, where we put these technologies, and we did a comparison between traditional technologies and innovative technologies. So in this case, all these technologies are installed in an experimental building, and you can monitor them, and you can see which are the differences or which one works better depending on the season and so on. And finally, you see on the right 2 different pictures of real buildings that are one was in Catalonia in Spain, and the other one in Slovenia, where we have installed these innovative technologies, and we are also monitoring them in terms of energy efficiency and so on. So, and now I'm going to talk about what I was, or what I have identified as open innovation. I'm not an expert in open innovation, but for me, all this was like open innovation in this context. So first of all, we did a very huge work, or huge effort, to understand the interconnections between the different testing lines. As I said, we were working with different products, with different requirements like safety, health, efficiency, and we understood that there were like different interconnections within them. So one of the efforts was or the internal work of understanding each other and seeing which were the different possibilities. So also we did these decision trees to optimize the testing lines or our offer. So for example, imagine that you are a manufacturer of a window, and you have this. You are a manufacturer of a window. You have to do a water tightness test, and you are located in Poland, for example. And this decision tree was to provide you with a better offer from the OITB. Also, we did this an additional tree in order to give you the possibility to choose the best option for your open innovation service. No matter if it was, for example, your roadmap for certification or your business strategy or different solutions, this decision tree was made all together in order to give you the best option. Also, we tried to, because this OITB was a European project, and in the same call, there were another 2 sister projects, so we tried to merge with them, and we finally it didn't succeed because one of them was not interested, but the other was, but they were like very advanced from us, so we didn't, but at least we did the first idea of collaboration. Also, we did what is called the open call for building owners. Here, what we were seeking was buildings in order to place our innovations. In addition, we did an open call for companies. In this case, we developed all these testing lines for the innovative products. And here, first we did with the industrial partners present in our project, but later on, we opened it to the rest of the manufacturers in Europe. So now we are doing this kind of test in this open call. Also, we did these design challenges that were made for students, especially last year students or even young researchers, with the idea of we put like different challenges. One was related to a modular facade to incorporate new photovoltaics and also new other HVAC solutions, and the other was for an innovative solar shading system. And the idea was to have a prize or to do a contest with a prize. And finally, of course, if you have a very good proposal, probably you could be hired by the company because they were looking for young people. Also, we have done some workshops in other construction-related events. So here, for example, the InnoRenew conference that was in Slovenia a few months ago. And they were talking about new solutions for bio-based facades and also recycled facades. So we bring our OITB in order to see if there could be a room for collaboration. And I will stop here for a moment because here on the corner you can see my colleague Olaya, that in fact she was the one that is present in this project. So I'm trying to represent her today. That's all the credit for her. And finally, where we are now. We are now trying to establish a legal entity for this OITB because this project will finish in 2026, but the idea is to continue with that. So we are doing also together with this establishment of the legal entity, we also had conversation with EFN, that is the European Facade Network. That is, it's a network for training. So they are promoting the different masters for facade design and engineering, and also they have their own virtual master. You can do your facade master virtually, and probably they will also come to our Mitsino OITB. And this is and the name we find is Envelope Lab Europe. So maybe in a future I can come here and talk about this Envelope Lab, and to see if our first ideas, they succeed in time. And I think it's all from my side. Sorry, because I've been too fast, but the time was really short.
Thank Thank you, Xavi. And now we have time for maybe a couple of questions from the audience. Any questions? We've kind of given you way too much information, perhaps, in a very short time. Okay, maybe I'll ask one question myself to Xabi Olano. Xabi, the challenge, I think, remains now to be seen. I think the final part, the final slide, is the real challenge, isn't it? When you're trying to really go into business together with a one same legal entity. How do you think that will work?
Yeah, of course, the challenge is to continue when the budget for the European Union is finished. So that's what we are trying to figure out now. And I would say that at least the commitment, initial commitment, is quite good. Not all the partners, not all the 25 partners will be part of this new entity. I think just the half of them. But at least those that will be involved are really committed. And also it's important to understand that in our case, our proposal is to do an association of partners where each partner will be responsible for this single entry pot or this legal entity for 12 months. I don't know, maybe 12 or 18, we don't know, sure. But this way, we believe that at least when you are in charge of that, you will be more committed. So that's one of the strategies for that. And we'll see. Maybe in the next conference, we can talk about that.
Best of luck. I think that's where you have a real challenge. Any other questions? Okay, if not, before we start the workshop, I do have one question for you, Edorta. Could you comment on how long ago we started working on these strategic partnerships that you showed, these ambitious ones? And in that short time, I think, is relatively, how many strong partnerships like the ones you showed do we have now?
Well, I don't have the exact date on,
more or less.
but let's say we start doing this with a couple of companies around 10 years ago, and today we have more than 40 contract agreement long-term in the way I presented today.
Very good. I think that was an interesting point, maybe to add to your presentation. Okay, just one question at the back, yeah?
Just one question. Thanks for your presentation. It was super interesting, especially myself. I have worked in an RTO in a previous life, so I see many things. I was wondering, what are the personas of the SMEs you are working with in the Basque Country? Because you are here to support companies we see to develop innovation capabilities, etc. So what are the typical SME you have in the region? Are they innovative? Not at all, because I was in Luxembourg before and was super not innovative. Yeah. But our job was to improve their capabilities. And we struggle a lot with that because some are not innovative at all. No, and some did a little bit more. So, but still, our mission was to increase this. So I was wondering, in the Basque countries, is it a mix of both, or do you have 80% of them that are not innovative?
We have a mix, but as Yolanda was mentioning before, we are very lucky in the Basque Country. I will try to explain briefly which are the reasons behind what I consider. We have a large number of innovative SMEs, even though the SMEs in Basque Country are not the bigger in Europe. So the standard size of an SME in Basque Country is between 50 and 120 people. No, not really big. We are not in the high numbers of the SMEs considered in the European definition. Less than 250 people and so on. But what we have in Basque Country, and this comes from the industrial reconversion that we started in the early 80s, is a continuous support from local authorities to industrial research. This is more than 40 years of industrial research being done year after year after year after year. Basque Country has been supporting research on industry with specific programs since the early 80s. And this is important because the research network, we have acted as promoters of innovation in these companies during all these years. I was lucky because I was responsible for research programs in the Basque Country in a legislation period. And the demand for innovation funds from companies in Basque Country is particularly high. We have more than 1,500 projects that apply for support from SMEs every year. And this is a high number in Basque Country. But the key aspect is that depending on the color of the political governance, the policies for supporting industrial research has been constantly supported by the government on all this period, since early 80s to nowadays. And this is a strong force for moving innovation in companies, particularly in SMEs.
Well, thank you so much, Eduardo, because that, I think, is one of the key messages that I kind of skipped over when I started my presentation and said, we have an enviable innovation ecosystem. Thank you for describing it in so much detail. Thank you. Okay, well, now I will give the microphone to my colleague Xavi, and we will start working together. Okay.
Is this working? Yes. So thank you very much for your interesting questions, Yolanda, and to the speakers. But now it's time for open innovation to happen here. Okay, so you are going to work a bit now. As you can see, we have witnessed different ways of implementing open innovation from the point of view of an RTO, of our research and technology organization. And now we are going to ask you, even if you come from other worlds as academia or as enterprises, I guess, we are going to ask you to put yourselves in the shoes of an RTO, of a research and technology organization, okay? And from this perspective, we are going to ask you to suggest new ideas for generating impact through open innovation, in the case of an RTO, again, okay? So how are we going to do this? We are going to work in small teams. I said I have counted the number of participants, and I think our tables will be about 6 people each, because we are about 25, 26 people here today. So I will ask you one question. The question is very easy. It's one that is already contained in the agenda of this event. You are an RTO again, and you want to carry out open innovation. You have seen some ways to do it, but we want to explore others. What do you think about how to implement open innovation in an RTO, okay? So what ideas would you suggest to generate impact through open innovation? And we have limited time to discuss because I have checked that we only have 25 minutes, about 25. So I will ask you to form 4 groups. In each of those groups, there will be one person from TECNALIA, okay? And then I will ask you to discuss, to provide ideas, okay, about the question we are going to ask. But first, I will ask you to introduce yourselves briefly, not a curriculum vitae, okay? Briefly in the table, I come from blah, blah, blah. And then select a team representative. Each table will have one, okay? And then start discussing the question we are going to ask. Everyone should contribute, everyone but those from TECNALIA, because we are trying to listen to your ideas, okay? Then all ideas are welcome, of course. Listen actively. The principles of discussion, let's say, a moderated discussion, and connect with others' ideas, okay? And try to avoid judgment, okay? That's very important. And try not to forget your sense of humor, because it's important to generate a kind atmosphere, okay, to work. So you will have to end up, each team will have to end up with just one idea, okay? So you will have to reach a consensus on one idea, responding, answering the question we are going to ask. I'm going to project, well, first of all, I have put on the tables the talking stick that was used by the Native American tribes in their discussions, let's say in their discussions. The person who owned the talking stick had the right to speak, and the others had the right to listen, okay, till that person had finished talking, okay? So you can use it. It's not necessary to use it. It's just a symbolic, a metaphor of how a discussion should have to go, to run. And this is going to be the question. So first thing I'm going to ask you is to form 4 groups. In each group, there will be one person from TECNALIA, and then you will start introducing yourselves. Please try to be heterogeneously mixed. This is if 2 of you come from the same organization, please try to mix yourselves, try to sit at different teams, okay? Is it clear? Any questions on this? Great, come on then. We don't have a lot of time, okay? I will control the time. Ladies and gentlemen, you should start discussing now, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, please, can you pay attention? I know you haven't had a lot of time to discuss, okay? But there are 5 minutes left, and we should go finishing somehow. And sorry, please, Yolanda, please. So we should go finishing. So to finish, I would like you to select one idea in each team. One idea. I guess you have already selected one representative for your table. You will select one idea in 5 minutes, okay? And then the team representative will describe that idea, okay? So we will have something like this that you can see here, okay? I have given you some circular cards, okay? I have put one on each of your tables. I want your idea, your consensus idea, to be written here and then explained by the table representative. Is it clear? Well, you have 5 minutes for that, okay? Come on. Three minutes left. One minute left. Well, I see that you are not writing the ideas on the cards, and we don't have much time, so please start writing, please, teams, start writing the idea of your table on the card, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the time is over. Please, ladies and gentlemen, the time is over. Okay, great. That's the best group, the best team. So, where is the other microphone? Yolanda, it's here. Okay, let's start with the first team because this is the first one that has finished. So, let's go. Please, please, teams. Please. I don't exist. Please, 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 please. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, sorry, good evening. Yes, we are going to start with the explanations of the ideas. Okay, let's go to the first table, the yellow table.
Yes, hello everyone. So we are called FITI. This is the name of our team. And our idea is called a Stakeholders Journey, from input to impact. That's why the name FITI. Very quickly, what we notice is that the process that they currently, or the projects that they're currently working on, and that process is pretty good, actually, and great results, as they mentioned. But we see that there are certain other stakeholders in their value chain, in their ecosystem, that are not necessarily connected to the process, okay? So
Please.
we were talking about coming... Thank you. We were talking about coming a little bit back to basis, to understanding and mapping your stakeholders. So a classic stakeholder map, we call it also stakeholder journey. So you can get closer to them, and understand, get their input, okay? Understand what is valuable for them, what would make an impact for them, and so on. There are certain stakeholders that you need to be very close to and get involved maybe in your operations or in your process. Maybe other stakeholders you just need to get excited or just aware of your initiative. You could have, I don't know, a demo day or something you invite, while others you invite really into the testing. To give a clear example, we were talking more about the building and construction industry, and we saw that currently certain relevant stakeholders like the cities, the municipalities, the ones that have the goals, an impact goal to make cities, buildings more sustainable, are not necessarily involved, or even the designers, the architects of these buildings. So by working closely with them or integrating into your process, well, you're gonna generate more collective impact. And that's our idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the second team, the orange one.
Okay, so we had a lot of ideas. It was a super productive discussion, and in fact, then we had a very...
We want one, just one, Yolanda.
I will mention that there was
One
three,
idea.
two related to talent and one to access to geographical, to different agents in the ecosystem, but in the challenge of having access to open innovation with clients in different locations abroad. That was one of them. The other one was talent in terms of getting, for instance, putting together a competition with final year students to address challenges of companies over several weeks and having them pitch solutions and then given a prize to the students. But the final one that we picked, I will let you explain that, because that was her proposal.
Thank you. So our idea is that you have an open access to technical experts. So that you are working on a campus, for example, and then you share a group of technical experts, and that everyone, all companies can hire a person for a couple of hours or a couple of days, a couple of weeks, and that you hire talent together, and that you're attractive to them, and that they get the experience to have different jobs, and that you also share facilities, share workspace, and really create that open atmosphere to collaborate also.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the third one. Who is going to talk here? The table representative.
Okay, so we with a very simple idea, I would say, to try to generate impact. It starts from the idea that if you want to generate impact with open innovation, you have to spread the word of open innovation. We've seen a lot of entities trying to do that in a more theoretical way, but whenever you want to involve all the stakeholders, including corporates, that should play an important role, you have to do something more practical. So we thought that RTOs can create a sort of what we call Open Innovation Fellowship Program. I'm not talking about any academic title or whatever. It's just, let's say, a period, a couple of months where managers from corporate could be exposed to open innovation practices. So RTOs, they have the understanding of the technology, they have access to academia, startups in theory, they know how to develop a prototype and to turn it into a product. Because one of the problems we discuss is that IP by itself has not any value on the market if you do not turn it into a product that delivers actual added value for the users. So exposing managers to such a program when you can show them what's the flow of innovation and how it can be applied to their company, for example, from the origination of the idea to finding the right partner to developing a prototype to turning it into a product and generating real impact will create an army of open innovation people that will further spread the word across the globe and generate big impacts.
Okay, thank you very much. Applauses for, thank you. And finally, the blue team.
Hi everyone, I'm representing the last team. I'm Nicola. So we started trying to understand what is the pain at TECNALIA when it comes to open innovation now, since you have asked us to help you. And there are many cases in which open innovation doesn't work, apparently. Sometimes, you only want to design big collaborations, but nothing happens. Sometimes there are topics which you just can't do open innovation because it doesn't work. There are different ways to do open innovation, and everyone needs to find its own approach. And it boils down to people, apparently. Sometimes you just need the right people, and open innovation will happen. And this happens not all the times, because not everybody is ready to do open innovation. Edorta said that sometimes there are these kind of Gollum guys, or girls, I suppose, that are kind of closed in their own offices or caves or grotto, And so the idea, which is a very rough idea, and also there are some silos, right? There are some projects, some teams, some people that are, not very open about the project, the clients, the partners that they have. So the idea is that to pick those kind of Gollum people and to put them at the center of the stage and having them, trying to bring down those silos and having them, going around TECNALIA to either scout for ideas or finding ways, to connect people better. Okay, so basically, work on the people and making sure that you have more people ready to engage in open innovation from the bottom up. Okay, and this program is called PCBP, which stands for People Capacity Building Program at TECNALIA. Thank you, thank you.
A very good name. Okay. Thank you very much for such interesting and creative ideas and taking into account that you didn't have a lot of time. So thank you very much for this effort. And Yolanda, if you want to somehow conclude this session.
Yeah, it remains just for me to say thank you. Thank you very much for your attention, but also for staying beyond the allocated time and contributing with so many ideas. It's been really inspiring, and thank you everyone very much. And we hope to be working with you in the future. Thank you.